and Robbo.
Streaming across the globe, Ben Norris, Rob McKnight, and David Robinson.
Ben, Rob and Robbo. News and views, entertainment news. It's the Ben, Rob and Robbo. Ben, Rob and Robbo. Ben, Rob and Robbo Show.
Welcome to the Ben, Rob and Robbo Show. Here's Rob McKnight.
Hello and welcome. It's day one of a brand new internet show. And look, everything that can go wrong, I'm sure possibly will go wrong. So to all of you having a bit of a laugh, well done. But look, we are beaming around the world and we are so excited to be with you as we talk hot topics, entertainment and chat with some amazing people. But I'm not doing this all alone. Some pretty amazing people are joining me on this crazy adventure. Ben Norris was the first winner of Big Brother when it aired on Channel 9 and is a sought-after guest on radio and television. Ben, I think the interesting thing about you is you never hold back on your opinions.
Look, I think, I like to have an opinion, one or two of them. I'm pretty sure that for people out there that are watching this right now, maybe have a drink every single time I have an opinion and you'll be drunk by the end of the show.
And if you add a drink every time we have a technical mistake in our very first episode, have a drink as well. You'll be very drunk by the end of it. So it'll be all right. We are learning some new equipment, and I think we're going to be all right. What we do have is a fabulous team. David Robinson has spent over a decade in the television industry, and most people would know him as the reporter on Studio 10. Robbo, you've actually debated hot topics with Ida Buttrose, Jessica Rowe, Joe Hildebrand, and Sarah Harris. So this should be a walk in the park for you.
Well, all the big names, but you've got to remember that those people are very intelligent, very wonderful, and very beautiful. So I've got to get used to what I'm now dealing with, which is Benjamin Norris and Robert McKnight. But look, I'm sure, it kind of still works, still kind of the same. But yeah, I'm very excited. And also a big shout out to all the people who are pretending not to watch, but they really are. Hello there.
Well, Ben, Australia simply fell in love with you on Big Brother. You proposed to your boyfriend. You haven't actually got married yet, even though same-sex marriage has been legalised.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of pressure for us to get married, but I think the most exciting thing is that we're still together. And last night, we celebrated 10 years of being together, which was very exciting, by forgetting that it was our 10-year anniversary.
Well, look, we'll get to all of that soon. Let's get into our hot takes. And there are serious privacy concerns after the government announced plans for a coronavirus app that will track our movements. But some of the government's own ministers have already declared they won't use the COVID Trace app, with Barnaby Joyce telling the Sydney Morning Herald, "I treasure the government knowing as little about me as possible." Prime Minister Scott Morrison has been forced to clarify remarks by Deputy Medical Officer Paul Kelly, which seemed to suggest we might be forced to download the app if enough people didn't take part. This is what he said.
Plan A to work. My preference is not to do that. My preference is to give Australians the go at getting it right.
But you would consider it if we're not?
Oh, look, I don't want to be drawn on that. I want to give Australians the opportunity to get it right. And that's my objective. That's my plan A. And I really want plan A to work.
There's no doubt we are learning a lot as we do this first episode. But Ben, how concerned are you about your privacy, and would you download this app?
Well, coming from someone who's actually given up their privacy before and let people watch them 24 hours a day, I'm not really that concerned about it, to be honest with you. However, I quite often debate that with my brother, who he hates the notion of Big Brother and people are watching and, subscribing to people being able to tap into what he's doing. For me personally, it's not a big issue because I've got nothing to hide, where for others, I absolutely can understand that it seems a little daunting.
Robbo, I have major problems with this. I have no interest in allowing the government to track me. Am I just paranoid, considering I'd probably give up so much information to Facebook, Google and Twitter?
No, you do, but this is a problem. I agree with you. There is a massive issue here. We've got to remember that the minister who's in charge of this is Stuart Robert. Now, he is not great. I don't want to use the word, but I'm going to. It's inept. He is inept. He was the one that had that massive internet bill but didn't understand it and tried to claim it from the federal government. He was also the man behind the initial stimulus rollout, and also when Centrelink was inundated with all of those people. He didn't realise that it was going to be that big. My bad was his direct quote when he realised that maybe Centrelink officers and maybe Centrelink in general will be overrun. These are not the kind of people that I want in charge of my privacy. Another thing also is...
You're not a fan, Robbo, are you?
No, but they're developing this with the private sector, which always worries me as well. A big issue is privacy, and the fact that a lot of coalition MPs are also worried about privacy is a concern to me as well. You've got to remember also in this day and age, to have that amount of information about us somewhere up in the cloud for other people to possibly hack into or take out our details is very alarming. The other thing also is that they haven't bothered to really promise us privacy. This is the biggest thing. So you'd think, okay, if we're going to ask people to do this, obviously in this day and age, people are going to be worried about privacy, but they don't seem to have thought about that, which is just
well, they have. This morning, and last night on the Sunday Project, and this morning on News Breakfast on the ABC, they were very big on saying this will not be used. The information will be taken away and destroyed once the crisis is over. Like you, I do not trust governments with my information. I do not take part in the My Health or whatever it's called. I have no interest in giving them my privacy. They're saying voluntary at the moment, but they had to hose down over the weekend that it could become mandatory, because that was certainly the takeout when the live press conference was given, that if not enough Australians don't take it up, and that's 40%, Ben, that they would possibly make it mandatory. The Prime Minister has said it won't be, but would you care?
I think it probably... Look, this is my concern with this whole thing, and that is, if they're expecting us to do it, they need to be doing it as well. And that's one of the things that I read as they were sort of initiating this, was that there was some politicians out there saying, oh, look, we're going to get other people to do this and we expect that, but, oh, I'm not going to do it myself. I think that the expectation needs to be set from the top, and everyone's going to need to follow the same thing.
Okay, well, let's move on. And former Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull's new book is officially released today, but advance copies have already ruffled some right-wing feathers. In an extraordinary move, Christian Ellis, a Liberal advisor, asked for a general meeting to vote on the expulsion and lifetime ban of Mr Turnbull from the Liberal Party. Mr Ellis says the 29th PM serves only himself and not the party. Robbo, to expel a former Prime Minister from their own party seems a little bit excessive.
I agree with you, Robert. It is massively excessive. The thing we've got to remember, and I can't remember, we need to remind ourselves of this, is that Canberra, all politicians, ego. It's a massive problem. If we're talking about coronavirus, we've also got to talk about the disease that has been running rampant through Canberra and every other capital city since the dawn of Federation. This is a big problem. To expel someone, I think it's just a bit much. This is the problem with the Liberal Party, if I can say this right now. Last year, you give Tony Abbott a lifetime membership, and he was very polarising for the public. Malcolm Turnbull, not so much in the public, but also in the party. I think that really speaks volumes that for some of the stuff that Abbott said in his time and also out of time in office is outrageous, that he would be considered a lifetime member. But someone like Malcolm Turnbull, and he had a lot of faults. I always say that he's the best Prime Minister we never had, and I think he got probably a bit more drunk on power than actually doing things, and gave a lot up. But I really think that this is a big issue, and it's just another whinge from the Liberal Party about, no, they're not like keeping up with us. It's the right faction. Get over it.
But hang on. There is a fundamental problem that Turnbull basically was favoured by people on the left. The people on the left could actually see themselves voting Liberal for the first time because of Turnbull. He certainly didn't speak to the Liberal Party base, which Tony Abbott did. And of course, now we have this situation where everyone's turning on him but they forget about the fact Tony Abbott was taking Turnbull down from the sidelines and going behind him. It's just, I guess, Turnbull has been so open and saying, you brought me down, we're going to have issues.
I think there's no shock here, though, that the Liberal Party are cannibalising themselves. I mean, is this a news story? I feel like if we were going to have a news story every single time the Liberal Party turned on themselves, then we'd need their own show to be able to, to talk about that, because it just happens all the time. It's crazy.
Well, staying with Mr Turnbull's book, advance copies appear to have been forwarded all over Canberra. It's alleged one of the leaks originated from the Prime Minister's office, but yesterday no one was willing to confirm anything. This is foreign our foreign minister, Maurice Payne, speaking with David Spears on ABC's Insiders.
Malcolm Turnbull and his publisher pretty fired up that pirated electronic copies of his book have been circulating this weekend far and wide. Have you received a copy?
I understand that. I've not been responsible for disseminating any, David.
But you've received one?
I've received and deleted, and I would encourage anyone who has received to do the same thing.
Did it come from the Prime Minister's office? This is the suggestion from the publisher.
Absolutely not.
OK, who did it come from?
David, I've received and deleted. That's the most important thing.
You won't tell us who it's come from?
Received and deleted, David.
I'll take that as a no answer.
But today, The Australian reports senior advisor and executive officer to the Prime Minister, Nico Luhau, has apologised to the publisher. That's the point. It actually did come from the Prime Minister's office. Ben, the publisher is taking legal action against the Canberra Pirates. Do you think this is a really big deal? Isn't this what happens in Canberra? Things are leaked all the time?
Look, I think that it's definitely what happens in politics all the time, and it's just quite common. I think what's interesting about the clip we just saw, though, is that with politicians, they just choose to say less. You know, they don't want to get caught out for the mistakes that they've been making, and they just basically have the the company line that they toe.
Well, that's certainly
But
true.
we've also seen that all rivers lead to the Prime Minister's office. We've seen this before with the sports rocks affair, which we unfortunately haven't really been given much of an ending with that because of the coronavirus pandemic, which has kind of pushed that off the front pages. But once again, we're seeing interesting information, interesting ideas coming out of the Prime Minister's office, and once again, it just taints that office with more mud than it should be. I think it's outrageous.
And we also have a
I think the chief
situation,
should have answered
Robbo.
it.
We also have a situation where the AFP is being called when there are leaks outside of the government, but we have a serious copyright issue, and the government have been fighting. For years we've been saying, you're seeing those ads, you wouldn't steal a car, you wouldn't steal some from someone's house, so don't illegally download. And now they're sending out illegal copies.
Well, were you suggesting that politicians are above the law? Like, surely you're not thinking... I can't imagine that they would think they are too. They're outrageous, they're inept, they're awful, and I'm talking about all sides of politics. They've let us down in everything.
Well, you know, Robbo, one of the things that strikes me as hilarious, we're talking about Malcolm Turnbull, and we are dealing with Malcolm Turnbull's NBN as we stream this show, and you sound like a Dalek right now. What you might have to do is log off and log on, and Ben and I might chat about the next one while you do that and see if a restart will fix your Dalek extermination, which wouldn't be a bad thing for all of Canberra. So we will see you in a moment. Meanwhile, the economic...
Rob, great to be with you.
Meanwhile, the economic fallout from COVID-19 continues, with Virgin Australia on the brink of collapse. The federal government has rejected the airline's call for $1 billion lifeline. However, the New South Wales government is in talks with the country's second largest carrier. But it comes with a catch. The Treasurer, Dominic Perrottet, says that if money was given, they'd like to see the airline move its hub to the Western Sydney airport, which is currently under construction. Here's some of what he had to say about the potential bailout to Sky's Sharry Markson.
I would say that New South Wales, like Queensland and the federal government, has a strong interest in making sure we have a competitive airline industry in Australia. We have a very remote land and we rely on domestic tourism, and I think that needs to maintain. We need to maintain that.
Ben, we absolutely need competition in the airline industry in Australia. Is bailing out Virgin a no-brainer to you?
Absolutely. I think that they really do need to bail them out. Do you know what, though? I always feel like I miss those Ansett ads. Do you remember those Ansett ads for that airline? I always thought that airline needed a bit of a helping hand for them to come back. So maybe if the government are helping out Virgin, they can also help out Ansett, who have been dead for 20 years.
Well, that's true. And Robbo, Robbo has come back. The NBN is sorting him out. But Robbo, nobody, and I think nobody wants a situation where basically we can only choose to fly Qantas. It's surprising the federal government are not stepping up, but there's no reason if New South Wales government are willing to bail Virgin out, it makes sense that they'd want jobs to go to Sydney.
Yeah, absolutely, Rob. The other thing we've got to remember is that The Queensland government has also offered to bail them out as well. What they want to see is the debt restructured and for their base, their headquarters to remain in Brisbane. This is the problem, though. I think that if the government bails out an airline like this, then they own them. There is a public stake in that airline, and that should be something that's put to it. We're obviously hearing that the Treasurer is saying that that the new hub should be built at the Western Sydney Airport. I think that's fine too. I think there are certainly a lot of arguments to be made that if we're putting money into it, we do want to see them survive, but they've got to pull their weight in certain areas. Now, the other thing is this needs to happen. When Virgin really took over and really got into the market, we saw that airfares dropped significantly from Qantas because between the time of Ansett and Virgin kind of building up, the airfares increased quite dramatically. So when that happens, it's good. Australia is too big not to have, I think, a couple of domestic airlines. I think that's really important. And it's good to have those airlines being supported. But if we do support them, we should own them.
I think that's a very good point. Ben, if Virgin is saved, would you consider, instead of flying Qantas, flying Virgin to try and help them get back on their feet once this crisis is over?
Yeah, I think that's going to be really important across the board for a lot of industries. I think we are going to be needing to remind ourselves that, we're going to have to spend a little bit more money to get this economy back on the road. So I think when it comes to the airlines getting back in the air, like most people, I'm just going to look for an airline that's the right time and probably the right price for me. And I'm not necessarily, company specific, I should say.
I think that's fair enough. It strikes me, though, Robbo, we're talking about the bailout of some industries. It took a long time for any money to be given to the arts, and that was regional Australia with the television networks, Prime, Win and the like. But there are a lot of people in the TV industry, and of course we're biased, we're all from television, who are doing it very tough because the TV industry is made up of freelancers. Does there need to be more done for the TV industry?
There needs to be more done across the board. This is the big thing, though. When you've got a country, as I mentioned before, as big as Australia, you need to have airlines, you need to have transport infrastructure that's in place in order for those other jobs and those other industries to thrive. You can't have TV and radio without flying. It's really impossible. So I think there should be an idea of, yes, investing into the airlines as well, but we need to start thinking about other industries as well. I think we're going to talk a little bit later about Neighbours, possibly, or I might have just made that up. Rob, did I make that up?
You probably made it up, but we'll talk about everything when Steve Malk joins us to talk TV.
Great.
There's a lot happening on this show today, Robbo. Who knows what we'll be talking about? Who knows if we'll time out? We'll work it all out as we're going on. Meanwhile...
But can I say, it's so fresh, though. It's so fresh what's happening here because it's fun, it's happening, whatever. It's better than anything else I've seen on television for a while. Go ahead, Rob.
Well,
are you blowing your own trumpet?
Yeah, you are, but that's not unusual for Robbo. But, Robbo, I think this story will appeal to both of you because hell hath no fury like a Spice Girl scorned. Posh Spice, also known as Victoria Beckham, of course, has taken an Australian beauty brand to court over, wait for it, 2 letters. Now, let's take a look at Beckham's logo, if we can pull that one up. So that's Beckham's logo. Oh, hang on. I think that might be the Sydney company logo, VP. I'm getting confused. That's Beckham's logo, Robbo.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at the Sydney company logo, VP Salon's logo. I'm getting so confused here. Now, they are similar, but Posh says the use of the letters and a brunette model will confuse Australian customers into thinking that it's hers, not theirs. I think I've proven her point in this segment. The court throughout, though, throughout both cases, has said that it doesn't believe there would be any issues. What do you reckon, Ben? Does Posh have a case here?
I don't understand. No one even cares who Victoria Beckham is anymore. Like, she left the Spice Girls, and as far as I'm concerned, I deleted her off my Facebook. We're no longer friends. If you actually put those video footage up for me to guess who they were related to, I wouldn't have even been able to pick that out of a lineup. Victoria Beckham needs a headline, and so what she's trying to do is have a public court case. How about you get some singing lessons, rejoin the Spice Girls, and then we'll consider caring about you.
I never even cared when she couldn't sing when she was part of the Spice Girls. But I loved her anyway. Now, what is funny about this
You just love to look at her.
Yes. No, but the weird thing is I do have the musical tastes of a 16-year-old girl, so I actually did like singing the songs as well. But and that's a fact. But what we also have here is just recently Kylie Jenner was taking Kylie Minogue to court over the name Kylie. Because Kylie Minogue has obviously been using it for years. Kylie Jenner comes on and says, bump out the way with that bum of hers, and was trying to get Kylie's name. Kylie fought that and I believe won. But a lot of lawyers made a lot of money. Robbo, who could you sue? Who's taken the Robbo brand?
I actually did. I once walked past in a shopping centre and saw the week Robbo die. And I thought, I've got to tell you right now, I was more excited about the fact that I was on the front cover of a TV Week than whether I was going to die or not. I was happy to die. And then I realised it was for a character from Home and Away. So, no, I mean, good luck to him. I'm glad he didn't die. Whatever, I don't care. This is the big thing, though. What I love about this case is that the Australian courts have gone, you're an idiot, piss off, there's no issue here. You can't, get confused with either brand. Sod off, to use a British term.
Well, it's nice.
But you could also understand with the Kylies, though, like as in Kylie Jenner and Kylie Minogue, that's a generational thing. If you speak to anyone under the age of 25, they would only know Kylie to be, associated with Kylie Jenner. And for everyone else, especially all three of us very camp men, we wouldn't have even thought of, we wouldn't have even thought of Kylie Jenner.
I did wonder whether this show should be called 2.5 Gays. But anyway.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I think we've actually lost Ben. We've lost Ben's studio. How dare you say that no one knows Kylie?
Hey, this is a game for... This is a game for the people playing at home. Have a drink if you're questioning someone's sexuality throughout this game. There we go.
Well, as the
sorry,
federal
just quickly. Sorry. My wife's just walked in. No, sweetie. I haven't seen it.
Well, as the federal government stimulus package continues to be released, some interesting trends have emerged. It appears that women are spending big on food, bills and essentials, and the men are going for video games, car stuff and alcohol. Robbo, are you really surprised by this?
I'm really not surprised, but let's not be PC here because it's fun, because we're not controlled by any kind of network executive or advertisers yet. We are accepting bookings, though. But yes, isn't it weird? So women were going for household bills, food and essential items. Men were, as you said, going for video games, apps, alcohol, taxis, and weirdly, insurance. Now, I don't know why the ladies aren't taking care of the insurance, but the men seem to be paying more insurance. I don't think this is a bad thing. I think, especially in my parents' household, Mum takes care of all the food and, buying all of that kind of thing. Is it that bad, or is it that bad a thing to kind of put a spotlight on the fact that, yeah, probably the ladies are going to look after the food and the household and the men are going to look after themselves?
Well, quite possibly. I do remember that the baby bonus, Peter Costello bought me my first plasma TV, and I'm still grateful for that. So I'm always a fan of a government handout because TVs need to be bought.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's true. But no. Now computers need to be bought to watch this show. Oh.
Well, that's true. And do you know, obviously setting up this, because we are not doing this from a broadcast studio, and I think on the whole it's coming together pretty well, but it is day one. I was going back and forth to JB Hi-Fi, and they are selling out of everything. The store I went to said they're doing $1 million in turnover each week and are actually in June and July stock. They are using everything because everyone is buying up. I drove past Bunnings the other day. I went to go in, and the lines out the door were just crazy. They were not abiding by the 1.5 metre rule. They were inside. Bunnings was doing everything right, but the people waiting to go in were actually, right on top of each other. And I was just like, I don't think you quite understand what you're supposed to be doing here. But boys, we've made it through our first segment. Thank you for your input into the hot topics. Still to come, we will be talking to the eliminated MasterChef contestant And we will be meeting Mulk, who will be joining us to talk TV. And this week, it's a big lineup. We've got Ida Butchos coming up. It's the Queen's birthday tomorrow, and she will be talking about that. We will also be meeting another eliminated contestant of MasterChef. And Stevie Jacobs from the Today Show has a new radio gig, and we'll be meeting him on Thursday. I've worked with him for quite a few years, so that should be fun. But now it's time to cross over to our Lord and Master, Aaron Young at the Ticker Newsroom to bring us the latest news headlines. Aaron, on your first day at Ticker TV, the wonderful streaming service you have, was it this crazy as it is here today?
Were involved in the production from memory, but we eventually got there, I think. No, look, absolutely. Our first day, I remember, we've been working on it for a little while, surprised everyone the night before that we're actually going to go live the next day. The TV stopped working behind me halfway through my breaking news. But what was great is I actually had a camera, and this is a tip for you, Rob. I know your wife is heavily involved in this.
Yes.
I had a camera that the director didn't know was sitting above the director, and I could switch from the news desk. So every time something went wrong, I said, let's go talk to the person responsible for
Actually,
this. Bang.
Could
So
we
there's
see
a little tip
the
for
wide
you.
shot for the moment? This is Amanda, my wife, who is switching the show, and she's really thrilled I've brought her into it at the moment. But nice job, Amanda.
Ah, yes.
But Aaron, let's get the news
Excellent.
headlines from the Ticker Newsroom.
All right, let's take a look at the news for the day. Prepare for even cheaper petrol prices. Oil prices have plunged even further, tumbling to a 21-year low today. Concerns rising across the globe. The world is rapidly running out of oil storage facilities, so get it in your car. Output cuts failing to keep up with plunging demand. Now, waging war on online giants, the Australian government out to try and force tech giants like Facebook and Google to pay local news producers for content posted on their sites. It's a landmark agreement, been coming a very long time. The government hopes will save media organisations that have been hit hard by coronavirus and the rapidly changing landscape. The mandatory code replaces what had been until now a voluntary agreement that no one was using. The battle for Virgin continues to intensify. Queensland and New South Wales go head-to-head trying to save the struggling airline. The Queensland government putting $200 million on the table as a rescue package for Virgin, contingent on its headquarters staying in Brisbane. New South Wales Premier Gladys Berejiklian asked about this today. She's offered Virgin a subsidy, but she wants the jobs too. Tiger Airways, we understand, will set up in Western Sydney. And the Ruby Princess cruise ship is scheduled to leave Australia in 3 days' time, despite 171 crew members infected with COVID-19. New South Wales Police say the cruise ship with more than 1,000 crew on board was restocked, refilled, ready to depart Port Kembla, though the huge number of crew infected with the virus proving to be a major health hazard and a headache as well for New South Wales authorities. And finally, you may have noticed the name Bill Gates has been trending on Twitter. Why? Well, right now he's a target of a social media vitriol. Last week he posted a 3-second video on Instagram of himself hanging a sign in a window reading, "Thank you, healthcare workers." That has now led to this massive reaction online. The post has been pelted with hundreds of thousands of comments painting Mr. Gates as partisan, accusing him of crimes against humanity, linking him to conspiracy theories involving vaccines and abortion. Let's have a look at the weather map now for today. Our live shot there of beautiful Sydney Harbour. Melbourne, a top of 19 degrees. Sydney overcast as you see, and 23 degrees. Brisbane sunny and 27. Perth overcast, also Adelaide overcast and a top of 20. Let's have a look at the markets now. Check the local market for those playing at home. 5,442 is where it's standing, but it's dropped somewhat. That's what we're expecting. So much bad news due out today. Relatively small gains in Woolies, also Blackmores. Coles pushing the consumer staples sector to outperform the rest of the market. We'll have a look at Wall Street as well. US economic data due out this week, expected to continue in a downward spiral. So guys, that is what we are looking at today. Those are the news headlines. Now, I was dialed in a little bit early listening to you about, have a drink if you're thinking about or questioning someone's sexuality. So we thought we'd do our bit of a kind of welcoming gift. Not just one, not just two, but 3 bottles of champagne.
All right, so that's Robbo's
because we're not in the
allocation. What are the rest of us having?
Yeah. We'll drink it ourselves.
I appreciate
and
that.
Ticker T-shirts for all. So we are, of course, a startup. We haven't been able to get rid of these, so we thought we'd send that to you guys.
I love a bit of branding
Because
merchandise.
no one wants them.
But Aaron, go, Robbo.
A quick question, Aaron. If I wear the Ticker shirt, can we sort out some kind of, because Daddy's poor. Any money?
Oh.
Sorry, I'm just having some issues with my earpiece. It's terrible, this technology, guys. But,
no, fair enough.
We will send
Aaron. Sure.
will send you the champagne if you could pick up the postage.
Yes.
That's our deal.
Oh, God, it sounds like
Fair enough.
Ticker's in the same boat as us. Oh, there you go. Aaron, thank you very much, and we look forward to your news updates every day, Monday to Thursday.
And can I just say, guys, great to have you on board. The messages that we've been getting here over the past, few minutes while I've been on anyway have been this is the best show that Ticker's ever had. So it's great. No, really good to have you guys on board.
Thanks,
and
Mum.
appreciate all the work that's gone into it. It's looking great.
Thank you. I'm not sure if that's good for us or bad for you, but but thank you, Aaron. Well, you have been phenomenal. You've been very good helping us technically, and mate, we love working with you. So thank you very much. We will see you again tomorrow.
Thanks, Aaron.
Thanks.
All right. Each day around this time, we'll be bringing you an interview with our team of regulars, with each one looking at a specific topic. Today, we're talking TV with Steve Mulk. Tomorrow, we'll be talking politics with former Senator Sam Dastyari, and I can't wait to find out what he makes of this Malcolm Turnbull book. On Wednesday, the list king, Bruno Boucher, joins us. And on Thursday, the fabulous Joe Casamento will be talking movies and pop culture. But today, we're talking TV, and there's no one better to talk about my favourite subject than the viewer's advocate, Steve Mulk from TV Black Box. Hello, Mulk. Is isolation treating you well?
Hi, Rob. I just want to talk to everybody because I'm so lonely.
Well, you've got us now, Mulky, on a massive Zoom call. Hey, mate, an official ratings resumed last night, and it really was a fight for young and old, wasn't it?
Look, absolutely. I mean, we were expecting big things, guys, with MasterChef really going great guns for 10, Lego Masters landing for 9. How was that going to do? And poor old 7 with House Rules struggling through. And then you've got the ABC launching a new Aussie drama. It was a big night, massive for ratings here in Australia on TV.
Well, let's have a look at those figures, and we saw that Lego Masters came in number 1 with 1.239 million, followed by MasterChef on a touch over 1 million. But then it drops down, the ABC in third position with Spicks and Specs on 691,000, and House Rules languishing, although up a little bit from where it's been, on 630,000. Yes. Now, Mulk, the networks, what are they saying about last night's results?
Look, certainly 10... over the moon with its result. The fact that it's maintained over 1 million viewers with Gordon Ramsay exiting. He was there for the first week to really help bed the new hosts and judges in. 9, happy, certainly very happy with Lego Masters coming into that number 1 position again. Down, as you'd expect, on last year's premiere. It was such a big, buzzy show and will, I'd expect, maintain that. The proof will be in the sprint v marathon pudding for 9 and for 10, because Lego Masters is a very short-run show. MasterChef is a much longer premise. We get that 4 nights a week for, I think, now until the end of time. And so we've got to stick in with that and see what happens. Poor old 7 haven't said a whole bunch about House Rules, other than that this was what it got. That's it.
Well, Mulk, let me tell you, I know Robbo's about to ask a question, but let me say, you might want to hang around, because in our entertainment segment, Ben Norris will be dropping some huge news about Big Brother and when we might possibly be seeing that. So please stick around for that. But Robbo.
Hello, Mr. Mulk. Great to be talking to you on this premiere episode of the Ben, Rob and Robbo show. I've got to ask you, though, I understand that Neighbours is going to be doing something a little different. They're coming back early and they're going to be filming throughout the coronavirus. Do you know much about that?
I know a little bit. I know that there's been a lot of talk about how TV shows can stay in production during coronavirus. And that does mean that, of course, people wanting to maintain the appropriate limits, crews spreading out, limiting the number of them available. And it'll make for some interesting blocking when it comes to people being in scenes. But look, good camera angles make people look like they're just about next to each other, don't they? It'll be great to see the Australian industry continue, because it really has been hit hard by this, with heaps and heaps of shows put on, if not sort of hiatus in a temporary sense, almost permanent for some.
And Mark, we were talking before about the industry needing some help. We're obviously looking at the aviation industry getting some help there, and a lot of other industries across Australia. Do you think that it's even important to do? This is a loaded question. Even important to put some money into the TV and film industry in Australia?
Absolutely vital. I know I'm completely biased, of course, but absolutely it is. And the government's first package that they've offered up, I think, is a great start. However, if you're a journalist, amazing news. If you're in the news business, phenomenal. If you're someone that is into making Australian drama or a comedy or kids programming, it almost sounds the death knell. Allowing the networks to have that break in having to complete the certain number of hours of content. And I get this year it's certainly going to be hard. We understand that. But extending that to the point where, anything that the networks were going to show now gets pushed into next year, really, anything that's any good, just opens the way for the industry to just unfortunately be further decimated.
Mark, we were talking about ratings in primetime a little earlier, but it's not all about primetime. Can you bring me up to date with what's happening in the all-important breakfast market?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, it's been crazy the last few weeks. We've been turning on breakfast television in bigger numbers than ever. All of us wanting to make sure what's going on, what's the analysis on, last night's press conference from the Prime Minister or from the chief medical officers. Our premiers are reporting in almost every day. So we are watching, and we've seen that Sunrise has been doing massive business for Seven, continues to almost untouchable. At some points, 80 to 100,000 viewers ahead of its nearest rival, which for the last 4 weeks has been the ABC's breakfast program. It has bumped Today out of the way and been winning either outright second, or very close and enough of a win during the week for it to then see it beating Today on the weekly battle. So for the last 4 weeks, it's been Sunrise, Reasonable Daylight, ABC Breakfast, and then Today.
This is an amazing moment. We haven't seen anything like it.
And yes, and there's no sign of it abating. Sure, go, man.
Sorry, I just was get almost so excited when I see a little face there. I just want to ask you so many questions. The thing I'm concerned about, and I'm curious to know about as well, is Foxtel. As a Foxtel subscriber myself, I've heard rumours that, people have been unsubscribing, by the droves. What do you think the major concern, what do you think the major cause is, with that?
Yeah, certainly sport and Foxtel not being able to broadcast any of the big money contract sports that they have lined up, AFL, NRL, those sorts of things, have meant that a lot of people who sign up for either their streaming sports-only service, KO, or through Foxtel Now or the traditional IQ Box satellite service, people have just been finding that there's no Foxtel for them. They're not as interested or they don't want to hold on to it, such that even though a couple of weeks ago Foxtel laid off, made redundant 200 staff and stood 140 odd down, what they've done most recently is they've had to respond and boost the number of people working in call centres to deal with the number of people that are calling up to change, reduce and even cancel their contracts.
Mark, it's
I have a solution for them just really quickly. I was just going to say, for Foxtel, don't you think they could just bump forward the new series of Wentworth and just give us a big bulk viewing of that? I reckon that'll keep Foxtel subscribers pretty happy and keep people from unsubscribing.
Well, there's all sorts of thoughts around that at the moment, Ben. It's not a bad one, that's for sure. Foxtel talking about their drama streaming service, which apparently, I think according to the AFR this morning, is going to be called Binge. It's going to be rushed forward, and they'll be keen to see that land into our plates to try and get people subscribed and functioning that way. However, they are facing some big challenges with Warner Media, who own HBO. In the States, of course, Foxtel have an exclusive HBO deal here in Australia. Stan have put a counter bid because that contract is just about up. And apparently it's quite a good one. So Foxtel and Stan having to solidify both their bids to Warner Media to make sure that, in Foxtel's case, they're able to retain that HBO content. And of course, Stan would be stoked if they were able to snare that contract away from Foxtel.
Well, Mark, fascinating insights as always. You will be back next Monday to bring us up to speed. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week on the Ben, Rob and Robbo Show.
Thanks, mate. I'll put another 20 cents in the NBN machine.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mark.
And now it's time for the Random Live Shot of the Day.
It's the Random Live Shot of the Day. Where are you going today? You never know where you'll end up with the random live shot of the day.
And today, the random live shot of the day takes us to Taronga Park Zoo in Sydney, where it's a mostly cloudy and 22 degrees. Can we see the elephants there? They were there a moment ago when I just checked. Oh, look, if your internet browser, it looks like a
Back corner, back corner.
They're up in the corner. What are they doing? Oh, I think there's some naughty stuff going on. So maybe we'll get off that. Maybe and I'll just well, look, now it's time to see what's happening in the... I made that up. There was nothing going on, kids. I was just trying to be funny because there was no action. And I always like to pretend there's action when there's none. Now it's time to find out what's happening in the world of entertainment with Ben. Hello, Ben. It's all happening.
Yeah, it's a very exciting time of the year. You know, it's we've been talking a lot about Big Brother, and obviously as a former contestant of the show, I know a lot of people that are working on the new series and know a lot of people online that have been leaking some information. However, everyone has been talking about the teasers that are currently on Channel 7's social media promoting this new series of the 2020 Big Brother. And I can confirm that only 45 minutes ago did I get a text message letting me know that Channel 7 is going to launch their Q3 with the new season of Big Brother. So I think there was a lot of people that had said that it had earmarked May the 24th. It looks as though it's just a few weeks off that. So whatever's happening for the launch of Q3, I think Australia will probably tune in for a very successful launch.
So your information's been changing throughout the day because our super there actually says we'll launch in May, but if it's Q3 and I'm trying to work out when Q3 starts, we think it might be just a little bit after May. Is that what you're saying, mate?
July.
Absolutely.
July.
So...
Thank you, Mog's still there. Mog, our TV guy, is still there. Thank you, Mog. Someone didn't turn your mic. I didn't turn your mic off. So in July.
I think that,
so that's changing.
I think there was a lot of... Yeah, I think it has changed a fair bit. Look, I think when it comes to ratings and, people being able to pack ratings in, networks are sort of making sure that the numbers add up in each quarter. And I think for Channel 7, they've kind of fell down a little bit with, House Rules not doing so well. So there was a bit of speculation that maybe it would be a shorter season of House Rules and maybe Big Brother would straight away follow that. But it is 100% confirmed that it'll launch quarter 3.
Okay, what else is happening? Bindi Irwin.
Well, celebrity weddings are a huge cash cow. What happened? Did someone fart?
Well, Robbo, hang on. We've tickled Robbo's fancy. What did I do, Robbo? He always laughs at me. During these whole rehearsals, he's been laughing at me. What have I done this time?
I just like... What's happening?
Well, celebrity weddings are a huge
Robbo,
cash cow.
I am
for
like
some.
a duck here at the moment. I am pedaling so fast with so much going on. Is it not a duck?
And you're doing such a good job, Rob.
You're actually doing an amazing job.
My reactions. Sorry.
Ben, what's happening with Bindi Irwin?
Well, I would say this is kind of a little bit controversial. People love celebrity weddings, but I think that we're drawing a very long bow with this one.
Australia's Bindi Irwin announced that she and her new hubby, Chandler Powell, were coming out with a 1-hour television special documenting their fast-tracked pre-lockdown wedding via Animal Planet. This sounded like a rush job to begin with, and while I love Bindi Irwin, the whole thing seems a bit weird. I'm not sure if a Nature Channel is the correct programming for a wedding special, but hey, who am I to say? The other odd factor about this show is that America watched this last night, while here in Australia we won't see it until the end of the year.
Which is quite bizarre, isn't it, Ben?
I'm like, Rob, what is going on with this? Like, to start off with, I didn't think anyone knew that there was going to be an hour-long special of this wedding. But then for them to have given it to America to watch last night and then to tell us here in Australia, seeing as she's our own, that we're not seeing it to the end of the year, do you think that's a bit baffling?
Robbo, I think Robbo's a big Bindi Irwin fan and can't wait.
He's asleep.
I'm so sorry. I just want to ask the question of, I would assume about 20 million Australians. Who cares?
You'd be surprised. You know what? We all loved seeing Bindi get married. And, I mean, the thing is, it's a real TV event.
Wait. Did we like seeing Bindi Irwin get married? I don't care.
Oh, no, Bindi. She lost her
I love
dad.
a good celebrity wedding. Don't
My
bring
kids
that
loved
out.
her when she used to do a little Bindi Irwin series. No, we care. But
Yes, I'm so sorry we care.
But Ben, I'll tell
Well,
you, we also care about viral videos on TikTok.
Yeah, absolutely. And these two very famous celebrities are absolutely having a great time with their time on TikTok. They're getting a lot of views.
Tim Campbell have found themselves a winning ticket with their almost daily videos reenacting famous scenes from iconic Australian TV and cinema. What started off as just a bit of fun born from boredom has become an internet sensation. From the Real Housewives of Melbourne to Kath and Kim and the latest iconic Muriel's wedding scene, you can't help but love the boys for their effort and ability to make these videos even more entertaining in their reimagining.
Oh, by the way, I'm not alone. I'm with Muriel.
And now let's hear a warm welcome to Act 5 in the Hibiscus Island Star Search. It's Ever!
I tell you what though, do you know what's really interesting about this is that Anthony Clear often gets quite a lot of bad press for being a bit snooty and, you know, sometimes a little bit unlikable.
Yes.
However, these videos are amazing. And so, Robbo, I have a question for you. Do you think that these new videos are making Anthony Clear a little bit more accessible, a little bit more likable?
No, not at all. That's every good time. When he was on Sunrise after Just One Australian Idol, he asked me, production there.
How sad that Robbo's breaking up again and we won't be able to hear his answer to that as he has a go at Anthony Clear.
You know, Rob, I was just going to say, that's actually really funny that you say that because I thought, because everyone knows that you're a huge fan of Doctor Who, that Robbo was actually impersonating the Dalek, you know, to try and impress you, you know, trying to get into the good books. But I think what Robbo was trying to say, which is quite common, is that, you know, I think a lot of people have stories of meeting Anthony Clear and him not being that nice, where I feel like these videos, he actually comes across as quite likable. I know he's not being himself, but I think he's endearing himself to the audience a little bit more.
You know, there's a whole thing with Anthony Clear and I where we didn't have him on Studio 10, but it was not because I didn't think he was nice. He seems like a great guy to me. I've never had any bad, negative interaction. His management basically did a thing on me where they had him booked on Studio 10 and then took him off to go on a rival program. And I said, well, if you do that, he'll never be on the show. And he never was during my time. But
well, I will just quickly tell you that since then, he's actually had a change of management. I think he had a change of management about 16 months ago. And I think maybe with a change of management, we're going to get a bit of a refresh of Anthony Clear. You know, maybe that's important.
And I think he's done a smart thing by getting rid of that management because they didn't play a smart long-term game. They thought they could just roll over people. As I said, I've never had a problem with Anthony Clear. It was just when you draw a line in the sand, you've got to follow that through, and that's what we did. Ben, thank you for the entertainment report. Tomorrow, I think we've got some juicy stuff like a Reese Witherspoon falling out and many other things, and maybe even Saved by the Bell as it's coming back. So thank you for today's entertainment report.
No worries. I look forward to some more entertainment tomorrow.
Well, not only has this season of MasterChef been a ratings blockbuster, but the 24 All-Stars taking to the kitchen are some of the best the series has ever seen. So it was always going to be hard to be the first eliminated. Last night, Linton Tapp took a big risk while fighting to stay in the competition, but that risk didn't pay off with the Season 5 favourite failing to impress the judges. Linton is with us to share his story. Welcome to the Ben, Rob and Robbo Show, Linton.
Thank you so much for having me today. I'm really excited to be on here.
Oh, mate, you're very kind. Hey, look, when you bring 24 previous MasterChef contestants back, you know it's going to be tough competition. How far did you think you'd get?
I set myself micro goals throughout the season, and I really wanted to get through the first elimination. That was my number one goal. And obviously, I wasn't successful in that goal, but that's what I was breaking it down in. Get past the first elimination, make the top 20, make the top 15, and let it go through in that way.
You were killing it, though, in other challenges. It just, even the judges said, this just wasn't your day in the kitchen. And to be honest, we all thought Poe was going home last night. Your eviction really was a bit of a blindside.
It did come out of nowhere watching it, and that's the nature of MasterChef and cooking. It's dish by dish, and at the same time, it is simultaneously the best and worst thing about MasterChef. You can be, as I was, in the top 3 the night before, and then in that ominous black car the next. There's just no telling what will happen.
But you know, what makes MasterChef so different to other reality TV shows, it really is the friendliness of the contestants. In fact, there was a moment where you were giving Hayden advice, I think it was about eggs, right before you both cooked off against each other. Do you now wish you hadn't given him that advice?
Of course not. That's what I pride myself on. And I'm glad that MasterChef put that into the final cut, because I love helping people. It's in my nature. I'm a caring type person, and I, to this day, would help someone get above me if it meant I was doing the right thing. So I gave Courtney advice on her dish off camera, Hayden advice. We were chatting about it. Chris and I spoke about his dish. So we had I'm not saying I was influential on their dishes at all, but that's the type of person I am, and that's what I pride myself on, being someone that's very giving and caring.
Now, when you've had the success after leaving MasterChef, it's a big risk to come back and be in an all-star season. What was the deciding factor on coming back?
So many factors were considered. Believe it or not, I said yes quite quickly. I think we actually got, I think the producers sneakily put a time frame in, maybe a 24-hour or 48-hour.
The old, you've only got 24 hours.
Yeah, please respond. And of course, you know, there was lots of people interested in this position. You're not the only one being, so, you know.
Linton, I can't believe you fell for that old TV shtick.
I'm a daggy dad at heart. I'll own it. I'm a sucker for, I'll buy anything, and that I took hook, line and sinker.
Now, I have to say, I think Channel 10 has been really smart in bringing Gordon Ramsay in to help bet in the new judges. What was it like working with him?
Oh, he was fantastic from the outset. He is a formidable chef. He cuts a striking pose. So we actually, what they showed on there was our live reaction. So for anyone that's not familiar with the making of TV or any type of production, there generally might be some practice runs leading up to filming live.
Yes.
So we expected that this was the very first time we walked into the kitchen after, some of us a year, some of us 10 years.
Yeah.
And the lights were in our eyes, as it would be if you're a performer in theatre, and there was just a placeholder. They lowered the lights in our eyes and put the lights over it, and there's a Gordon Ramsay standing 6'2",
brilliant,
with arms like my thighs, with his shirt tucked in nice and taut. I think everyone fell in love at that point in time. He's a very impressive human. But then, I was so fortunate to spend every challenge alongside him for the rest of the week. And that's something that, I'll take with me for the rest of my life. Gordon Ramsay is undoubtedly one of the best chefs to walk the planet.
Absolutely. But there was an interesting moment on Thursday night when you realised you would be cooking with Gordon. Have a look at what I mean.
Walking through the doors and feeling so excited. Sarah and Callum are beside me, and I think we're all hungry to win this challenge. But then I see Gordon Ramsay's in his whites, and immediately I get butterflies in my stomach.
You actually look like you had a bit of wee coming out of you.
Yeah. That's a very concise description. That man, he's a formidable chef. And Gordon Ramsay, one of the things his brand is built on, besides all the blustering and swearing that everyone knows and loves, it's his pace.
Yes.
And that's what mortified me the most. I was like, this is possibly going to be a challenge where I get made to look like an absolute fool. Not only am I with two other brilliant cooks next to me. I've got Gordon Ramsay opposite me, and there's not a place in the kitchen to hide. You know, in other team challenges with people, you could maybe fudge it a little bit. This, you're on full display.
Well, that's true, but I think you certainly held your own. And look, you've actually been going viral away from MasterChef. You've been going viral with your little boy Atticus, and the videos you guys have been making have been going really huge. What's the idea behind this?
Look, being in isolation was probably the best thing that could have happened for these videos. It was probably remiss of me to think I could go from producing TV, cooking in restaurants, and being a working professional to a full-time stay-at-home dad without having some creative release. And these videos is exactly that. And when I come to thinking about what I'm going to make on the day, because they're always thought of on the morning, and we start 11 o'clock is our roll-up time. Got to take into account naps, bottle feeding, changes. So by 11 o'clock, I've done all that, got some ingredients, and I've targeted them at people who are at home, maybe with kids, with very little things in the pantry because we're all in isolation, and I want them to be tasty and simple and replicatable. That's my goal, and the feedback so far has been terrific. I've had more positive feedback from the 10 videos that I've put online of Atticus and I cooking than the 400 episodes I've done of TV for Network 10. So it's been a really heartwarming experience, and every time I get some of the best feedback I've had is from other stay-at-home dads. That's really, really heartwarming because I'm a proud stay-at-home dad. I love supporting my wife, been a very successful lawyer, and watching our little son grow up, and hopefully, molding him into a nice little human being that knows how to cook.
Well, I think you are. And look, where can we find those videos? I know they're on Instagram. What's your Instagram account? So let's give it a full plug.
So, thank you so much. My social media channels, Facebook and Instagram, are my names, Linton at Linton Tap, and we're aiming to put up a video every second day. Obviously, it's going to evolve. I think my production value is increasing as I learn the Adobe suite and figure out better camera angles and how the lighting works in our natural kitchen.
Yes.
It's been such a good release, and also I'm finding that Atticus now gets excited for it, and people can tell that he loves being in the kitchen, having a chat, and it's almost on cue. He knows when a finished dish hits the board and he starts bouncing around it. It's lovely.
Oh, that's fantastic. Look, you seem like a genuinely nice guy, and I am genuinely, truly sorry we didn't get to see more of you on this season. Linton, thank you for joining us on the Ben, Robin, Robbo Show.
Thank you so much for having me.
And MasterChef continues every Sunday to Thursday at 7:30 on Win and Channel 10, of course. Guys, can you believe it? We've made it to the final bit of the show. We got there.
I can't believe we've actually made it.
Really?
Well, I'll give you one bit of
for the
feedback
pants.
from Fritz, who has 40 followers, so he's an important person. But I really wanted this to work, but it's clunky and awkward with a lot of technical problems. We said that, Fritz. We're going to work on those.
Okay. We're trying to do the job of an entire television network very small, and actually this is the future, so
it is the future, and it's going to get better. This is episode 1, people. Just wait and see what comes. All right, it's time for us to hand over to the people at Ticker. Thanks for watching the Ben, Robin, Robbo Show. We will see you tomorrow when we do it all again. I need a drink. Good night.
I think it's good enough to...